All right, let me crack into it. So those here were on time, fantastic. We'll crack into it for you guys so that we're not wasting your time. And those who turn up late, we'll just have to sort of jump on board. But we've got a bit of intro stuff to get through anyway. So hopefully that catches people up. I'll start my video for the beginning, just so you know that I'm actually here. Hi, welcome today's webinar. So today's webinar is all around making it hard for brands to say no to you when it comes to sponsorship. I'm just gonna put this onto full screen for us as well. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that's all showing okay. Please let me know if it's not. So today's webinar all about making it hard for sponsors or for brands to say no to you when it comes to looking for sponsorship. Firstly, thanks so much for making the time to jump on board this webinar and up your sponsorship game. I think it's a fantastic thing to do, especially if you're trying to get sponsorship, given how competitive that it can be. I also want to say a big thank you to Stephanie from Selwyn District Council for putting on this webinar for us. They're doing some fantastic things there around trying to help grow the Selwyn District and supporting small businesses, community groups, etc. down there. And this is one of those initiatives. So thank you to her for putting that on. There's some awesome organizations that are in attendance today, so that's really exciting. Lots of different areas that you're all coming from. And the other thing I just want to quickly say thank you to is thank you so much for answering those questions during registration. So there was some key, some key topics that came up during those questions of, what are your biggest challenges at the moment? What do you want to get out of this webinar? And some of those key themes were, how do we demonstrate value? How do we know what to offer sponsors? So we're going to cover that off in today's webinar. How do I get confidence or wanting to build confidence, which is a big one when it comes to sponsorship. So we're going to go over some things that can help build confidence for you. There was a question in there around funding applications, so applying to trust funds and stuff like that for funding. Unfortunately, we're focusing on sponsorship with this one, so we're not going to get into that one. Sorry about that. That would be a whole nother webinar in itself on writing funding proposals. There was themes in there around how to make contact and what's the right approach. So we'll get into some of that today as well. And we'll touch on this last one as well, which is setting price and creating leverage. So we won't go too much into that because some of those in themselves would be a full webinar by themselves, but we'll touch on some of them and hopefully cover off or give you some more knowledge in those areas. Okay, so quickly, just before we get into the session as well, I should give you a little bit of a summary about myself. And this is not for blowing my own horn. I've been told previously, I used to not give any information about myself and just jump straight into it. But I've been told people like to know, get some context on where I'm coming from. So I went to university and I studied sport business management and marketing communication at Massey University. It was there where I kind of identified there was a big gap in the sponsorship industry. So I focused most of my studies on sponsorship back then. I ended up getting top student in my degree. I was also working for Manawatu Rugby Union at the time, where I was helping organize all their home events, helping them with sponsorship. From there, I went to Winter Olympics in Vancouver, Rugby World Cup. Also worked for Sport Wellington, which is a not-for-profit regional sports trust in New Zealand, where I was helping to grow their sponsorship revenue and helping to get more sponsorship and leveraging dollars out of their current sponsors. From there, I went corporate, where I started working for AMP Insurance, where I started to manage national sponsorship programs like AMP Scholarships. Did some work with councils and also with Cricket World Cup. And that was before jumping on board with ASB, where I was managing a multi-million-dollar sponsorship portfolio there. And across all those years, I saw hundreds and hundreds of sponsorship proposals and lots of what was going on in the sponsorship industry. And I would say that 99% of people were presenting the exact same approach as each other. And it's an approach that doesn't work that often or is not very effective. And so that's why I put together Sponsorship Pantry. to help teach people more effective ways of approaching sponsorship and sharing some of that knowledge that I've acquired over those years. So I'll just turn off my camera now while we kick into it, and you don't have to be distracted by my mug. There we go. So sponsorship, for me, it's super exciting. I love sponsorship. So hence the second point here where it says I will try and keep it to an hour. I may go off on the odd tangent or two, or if I'm answering questions, bear with me, because that's where some of the nuggets of gold come from. Even if you're a super experienced sponsorship practitioner, I see a lot of the similar mistakes getting made. And while some of this may be familiar to you, hopefully there's still some gold nuggets in here for you and some really big pieces of value that you can take away. And that is my aim today, is to add value, solve problems for you. There is question and answers, so feel free, if you toggle down the bottom of your Zoom window, there should be a button or a icon there that says Q&A. If you've got questions, feel free to chuck them in there, and I will try cover those off or get to them when we've got time. And of course, you've got the chat function. So if I'm asking questions, please put your answers into the chat function and we're all good to go. Chatham House rules. This probably doesn't apply so much for this webinar, purely because Stephanie has said that this is going up on their YouTube channel, on the Selwyn District Council YouTube channel, after this has been recorded. And so I'd like to say that what happens here stays here, but actually it's going to be up on YouTube. But the good thing is that when you're typing into the chat and the Q&A and stuff, all of that stuff will not be put up on YouTube. So you're safe to share on there. Okay, so first things jumping in is we want to go through mindset and first foundation. So for me, sponsorship, well, it's not just for me, actually, studies show that sponsorship is one of the most effective marketing tools out there. And there's plenty of studies that show that sponsorship outperforms traditional marketing. And the reason why this happens is typically because when people are interested in charities or sports or events or whatever it is, they are quite passionate about it and they're emotionally invested in it. And it's a lot more interesting when brands align themselves with those properties because it shows that they relate to their audience and people feel more strongly towards those brands. They buy more of their products and services, especially if they're branded towards those specific sponsorships. And a lot of traditional marketing, like opening up emails or any other kind of marketing material, social media posts, etc., when they are aligned with a sponsorship, they outperform traditional marketing, which isn't hard to believe, right? So if we took a bank, for example, and they put out a sponsorship-related mortgage rate and talked about how it was going to benefit a charity, it would outperform it if they just said, hey, listen, we've got mortgages and you should do your mortgage with us. And so that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love sponsorship, and it's effective. It can create massive wins for us. So I know that the goal for most people is how do we get cash and how do we get money in through the door through sponsorship? Another thing to think about when it comes to sponsorship is how can we use sponsorship to also grow revenue in other ways? So, you know, a lot of sponsors will have, or a lot of brands will have large databases, customer bases, large marketing budgets. And when sponsorship's done really well, is we can leverage that and use that to help grow our user base and help grow our participants, our funding, even introduce us to new sponsors. So I see those as massive wins. One of the big pitfalls when it comes to sponsorship is the thinking that it's going to be a walk in the park. And anyone who's been in the game for a while will know that it's not the case. So traditionally, a lot of people will get into sponsorship with a mindset of, hey, you know, like all these big brands have lots of money. Why don't we just ask them for some money? We'll put their logo on some things and, you know, all our problems will be solved financially. And that's unfortunately not how it works. You have to really have a desire to put in the work and add value to a business in order to be successful with sponsorship. and you will hear no a few times along the way. So I put this down as the first foundation, which is knowing what you have to offer. And I know that that was one of the key themes that came through in those questions, is how to know what you have to offer. Now, I could run a whole webinar on this alone, so I'll try cover this off a little bit, but we won't spend heaps and heaps of time on it. What I have got though is I've got a free resource for you which you can grab. So some people I know on here have already got this. And what it is, it's a benefit inventory or a check sheet that you can do. And so if you go to my website, sponsorshippantry.com, you'll see that there is a email sign up on there where you can get sponsorship related emails. One of the first emails will send you a free check sheet, which is an exercise you can go through and help identify everything that you've got to offer a potential sponsor, along with a video training. Small disclosure, you will be signed up to my mailing list if you sign up to that. But if you just want the free resource for this purpose, feel free to sign up and unsubscribe. I'm hoping, well, I think that the emails that I provide there are valuable. There's some people on here who could probably give you some better insights as to me because they're already signed up to it. They may agree or disagree. I hope they agree. But the reason why this is highly important is knowing what you've got to offer is, well, why we want to do it is we want to build up a large repertoire or a large kind of portfolio of every possible thing that we've got to sell. And we want to be quite creative about this. And the reason why we want to do this and know this off by heart is because it helps us with building confidence when we're talking to potential sponsors. The idea being that once you know absolutely everything that you've got to sell, you can hand pull and pick various benefits from within your inventory to help solve problems for businesses and help, I guess, plug holes and gaps that they don't have themselves or that they can't solve themselves. And if you hear no to a particular benefit or a particular benefit's not hitting the mark, you've got the ability to think on your feet, pull another benefit and say, well, how about this one? How about this benefit? And the reason why I say creative is because I would say the vast majority of people out there hunting for sponsorship offer very similar benefits. They offer gold, silver, bronze packaging, tiers. They will offer free tickets. They will say, we'll put your logo on marketing material. And they'll say lines like, you can have the ability to activate at our event. And being more creative in this, you have to really think about every possible thing that you could do or sell to a potential business to help solve a problem. And one area where I see people not go into depth on is around the expertise they have. So for example, if you're in a sports niche or a health niche or anything like that, or even if you're a charity and you're in a medical niche, chances are you've got some fantastic expertise at your disposal. You've probably got physios, you've probably got sports nutritionists, you've probably got doctors, scientists maybe, etc. And there's no reason that you can't use that expertise to create bespoke content or programs for brands. So for instance, you could put together a well-being program for a brand using your expertise. You can put together dieting programs, sports training programs. You could, if you've got scientists at your disposal, you potentially put together, productivity plans and how to get the most out of working and sell that as benefit to a business to tick their well-being boxes, help improve productivity and help improve profits as a result. But I'll go through more of this and I'll show you more why knowing what you've got to offer is important as we continue on. Next, I want to touch on the winning formula. So over the years, what I've noticed is that people who have these 4 traits or display these 4 things are typically more successful at sponsorship than people that don't have these things. Number 1 being confidence, which is one of the key themes that was brought up beforehand. And having confidence to actually have conversations with people. And knowing what you have to offer is also a huge confidence builder. It gives you a sense of knowing what you've got and knowing what's of value. Commercial thinking, the ability to think on your feet, the ability to come up with creative solutions or benefits which are fit for purpose. Relationship building, this one's more of a soft skill. Your ability to actually get out, meet people, form good bonds and good relationships within a business, and multiple relationships at that. So the best sponsorship professionals that I've seen, they typically have relationships with multiple people within a business, not just the marketing manager, not just the sponsorship manager. Like, they will get to know the CEO, they'll get to know board members, they'll get to know sales teams, HR, etc. Because one thing you'll find out throughout sponsorship is that you've got turnover of staff, right? So if you've put all your eggs in one basket on getting to know one person, and that's who your sponsorship's through, that one person could go. Next thing you know, new person's in and your sponsorship's up for debate. Obviously, the more relationships you've got within a business, the more invested that business is with your sponsorship and with your organization. The fourth trait is the ability to actually add value to a business. And so you might be going, cool, this is all well and good, but how do I get some of these things, or how do I improve on some of these things? So how do we improve confidence, commercial thinking, the ability to add value? We can do this through gaining knowledge and creative brainstorming. So first of all, what we want to do to help gain knowledge is we want to or we need to understand why businesses actually sponsor and what they want to get out of that sponsorship. So that also helps us with our confidence, because if we know what someone wants, we know what they want to get out of it, then we can position what we've got to offer to help solve those issues or to help give them what they want. And more importantly, what it does is it changes our mindset. So one of the other challenges, and the reason why people lack confidence when it comes to sponsorship, is people will often look at sponsorship as a handout, or they'll approach it as if they're asking for a handout. So, we need this money. Can you give us this money? And here you can have some free tickets, etc. And they don't see the value in what they're offering. And so therefore they lack confidence. However, if they know that they're solving a business problem and they know what problem they're solving, then you're changing your mindset from a handout to selling a service. You're selling a service that is going to significantly help a business, and that's worth money, that's worth value to someone, and that should help give you more confidence. So this question is a question for everyone, and just put your answers in the chat. But why is it, do you think, businesses sponsor in the first place? Why do we think businesses even bother to sponsor things? Just type in your answers in the chat. No one's got any idea why businesses sponsor. This is not a good sign. Simon, all right, to add value to customer experiences. I like it. Give back to the community, good. Reach a specific audience, good. Okay, cool, good answers. So we've got give back to the community. So we think that businesses sponsor because they want to give back to the community. We think that they sponsor because they want to add value to customer experiences. We think that they give back. We think that they're sponsoring because they want to reach a specific audience. They want exposure and create brand awareness. Good, good. Create opportunities, connect with audiences like the ones that they currently have. Cool. Launch a new product. Good. I like that. Increase database. Good. Cool. Great answers. These are all good answers. Block a competitor. I really like that. So competitive advantage is fantastic. Thanks, Kathy. And I think all of these things are really good. And if they're all correct. But I just want to challenge some people's thinking on why businesses sponsor. Because for me, if we break down the essence of everything that people are saying, whether that's to give back or to be a good corporate citizen, to block a competitor, whatever it is, it all essentially in my mind boils down to wanting to be more successful at business. And so if we put that at the front, or as the foundational thinking behind everything we do, where we go, okay, businesses sponsor because they want to be more successful or because they want to be successful. That's why they're sponsoring. And if I tackle sponsorship from that point of view, I'm differentiating myself from the 27,000 plus registered charities in New Zealand. And I'm actually going in to solve a problem. How can I make this business more successful? And how can I use what I've got to offer to accomplish that? And so if we go on with that mindset, we're making a small shift, which is going to put us ahead of our competition. So moving on to, if we know that the main reason or the sole essence behind why businesses sponsor organizations, charities, events, etc., is to be more successful, what do you think helps a business to be more successful? What are some of the things that businesses do or need to do in order to be successful? So again, type in any answers you've got into the chat and we'll have a look at what people are putting in. Generate further sales or grow database is a reason, or is how a business can be more successful or helps them be more successful. So getting exposure to new clients will help a business be more successful. What else helps a business be successful? Advertising, promotion, publicizing key messages. Cool. Getting expertise helps a business to be more successful. Yep, definitely when it comes to staff training or helping to educate their clients. Increasing sales opportunities helps a business to be more successful. Cool. Nice input. Kathy, you're on fire. You're on absolute fire today. Reward key staff and say thanks to clients. It's another good reason or another good, I guess, activity that helps businesses to be successful. I like that. Perfect. So I think we understand what makes a business successful. I just did a quick little list there, which you may agree with, or you may have more to add to that, but this is not exhaustive by any means, but it's just to give you an idea of what I think helps make a business successful. So selling products and services, obviously you don't have sales, you don't have a business, getting leads, opportunities to talk to new potential clients, keeping your current clients happy, impressing potential new clients, good brand awareness so people actually know who you are, having motivated staff members who actually do a good job is pretty important to having a successful business. Having up-to-date data and information on your customers, having good customer service, good quality products and services, having a desire from people to actually buy your product. All these things I think help make a successful business. So once we know this and we know why businesses sponsor, which is to be more successful, and we understand what helps a business to be more successful, which is similar examples to what I've got up here. Once we know this, we can use that for our base thinking, and the whole time once we've done our exercise of getting to know what we've got to offer, is we can start looking at everything we've got to offer through this lens. How can what I've got to offer solve or assist or help make one of these things happen for a business? How can and I'll give you an example. So for instance, tickets. A lot of people will say on a sponsorship proposal, or when they're trying to get sponsorship, they'll say, you can have free tickets to our event. And while that seems quite innocent on the surface, you're actually putting a barrier, in my opinion, towards a lot of brands. So brands, if you're selling sponsorship, you kind of need to be the expert on sponsorship and how it can work for a business. And you're selling a solution. And my suggestion is to always sell a solution versus just the actual offering of the benefit. And so if we take tickets, for example, most people will go, hey, you can have, let's say you can have 100 free tickets to our event. One, they're assuming the person knows what their event is. Two, they're assuming that the person thinks the same way as them and is going to magically know what to do with those tickets. For a lot of people who are real busy in the brand space, in the corporate space, their first instinct might be like, what am I going to do with 100 tickets? Like, it just sounds like more work to me, especially if they're not thinking the same way as you. But when you know that a business is successful through selling products and services, or they need to get more leads, or you know that they want to keep their current clients happy, you can sell the solution and not the actual benefit. So if we use tickets, for example, you may pitch to a business and say, hey, listen, I've got a way that I think that we can help you sell more products and services. What I want to do is we'd love to run a campaign with you where we incentivize sales. And everyone who buys during the month of May or March or whenever it is, we'll put them into the draw to win an exclusive experience with us. We'll give them free tickets to our event. We'll do this, 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 and this. And we'll track how many sales you get versus a normal promotional period or during a normal month of sales to show that we're increasing or that we are incentivizing more sales during that period. Now, it's the same thing as going, hey, here's free tickets. The difference is you've done the thinking for them, you've shown them the solution, and you've shown them how they can use those tickets. And the same thing can be applied to probably these top 2 or 3. So for instance, you could position it as, hey, listen, I've got a way where I think we can get you talking to more leads and talking to more clients. We'd love to run a campaign with you where we'll give out some free tickets via our database. And all they have to do is they have to book a free consultation with you or a free 15-minute chat with you to go in the draw. Or anyone who books in with you during that month for a free consultation will automatically give them free tickets to our event. So all of a sudden they're going, fantastic, like I'm going to get 100 new consultations that month and we're going to have free tickets to give away for it. I like that as a concept. And you've done the thinking for them. Same thing again when it comes to keeping current clients happy. So you might say, hey, listen, I've got a way that I think that we can help you build a deeper relationship with your top clients, keep them happier and grow your revenue from them. And you're selling the solution, you're not selling the benefit. Okay, so let me just check where I'm up to. I've lost track a little bit on where I'm at. Cool. So the next thing we want to do is, now that we know why companies sponsor and what helps them be successful, I just want to double check questions while we're at it. Bear with me, I'm just checking questions, make sure that I've got everything signed up, everything up to date. Sorry, my brain doesn't work too well when I'm trying to do technology and read questions at the same time. So if I go a bit blank when I'm reading questions, just excuse me, I'm not a very good multitasker. So now that we know why companies sponsor and what helps them be successful, we want to now move on to arming ourselves with some more knowledge. So, and the reason why I talk around knowledge and why research is important is because the more we understand a business, the more we understand their drivers, the more we understand what they want, the more we understand what they value, the more leverage we have for negotiating and the more confidence we have in what we're offering them and that it's the right offer for them. Simple business, really. It really is. So these are some of the things that I think are good questions to ask before you're approaching any business to help give yourself some more knowledge on that business. So we want to go deeper on any business or industry, and you can do these questions across industry as well, especially if you want to approach multiple people or multiple businesses within an industry. And you want to get to know what products and services they sell. You want to know what the language is that they're using or the brand messaging that they're using. For example, when I used to work at ASB, and it's still their tagline today, they use the brand messaging around keeping you one step ahead. And so everything, all these questions we're asking them with the lens of knowing what we have to offer. So going through that, the exercise that I've given you access to, and thinking, okay, what can I pull from my inventory that I think that could help keep their customers one step ahead? How can we base something around keeping one step ahead? And that's the lens that I'll be approaching a business from. What are their current marketing campaigns? And the reason why you want to know this is you want to know what they're talking about, what's important to them at the moment, and what's on their agenda for the future, and how can we help them? So this here is going to be a real cool part. Well, I hope it's cool as long as I can perform for us all. But I think this will be really valuable, as if we can go through and we can do a live research. And I'll show you what I'll do is I'll go through, I'll show you how I would go around doing research on a business. So after I've asked those questions of a particular business, I may then identify or do a brainstorm on businesses that I would like to approach, figure out one that I think is a good one to approach, and then I will do research on them to help equip myself with knowledge and know that I can actually add value to them before I approach them. So what I want from everyone here is I would like you to type into the chat who are businesses that you would like to approach or we're trying to get sponsorship from at the moment. And I'll try and do live research on someone that you want to get sponsorship from. So it's a great opportunity to type in businesses that you'd love to approach, or business, or even industries that you'd like to approach for sponsorship. I'll go through and I will do a live research on how I think you should go about it. Simon's got a lot of sponsors he wants to approach. Nice. So we've got ASB Bank, Tourism New Zealand, GoPro in New Zealand, Altia Electric, avocado industry. That is interesting. Industry, banks. What else we got? Chuck them down. Another one for ASB, Westpac, Anchor. Nice. Joe's Garage, sells pizza. Milo. Nice. Okay, so there's a couple in there for banks, some in there for, looks like restaurants and food, a couple in the fitness industry. I feel like doing ASB would be cheating because I've kind of worked there before. It would be good because I could add a lot of value, but I don't know if that's cheating if I go through ASB. 2 degrees, nice, I like 2 degrees as well. Just remind me, Jackie, what's Casey Clinic? Is that some kind of health clinic? I'm not too sure what Casey Clinic is. Cosmetic clinic, laser, injectables, got it. Canon, nice, okay. Okay, why don't we do this? Is I'll go through, we'll do a bank. I won't do ASB because I feel like that's cheating. Maybe we'll pick ANZ or a Westpac or something like that. We'll do ANZ. And I'll show you, because the same thing can apply to pretty much any bank anyway. Okay, let me pull up the next screen. So bear with me. So good thing there, Jackie, around small rural businesses and small communities. I would still use the same process regardless of the size of the business. And the reason why I would do that, so the question is around, you know, I'm about to go and do research on a big national bank, yes. However, the same process can be used for any size business, and it's the same process I would use for any size business. Because at the end of the day, if we go back to our foundational thinking is that businesses sponsor because they want to be more successful, and it's the same areas of business or the same activities that help a business to be successful regardless of size. So they're the same business principles that we're trying to apply, and that's going to be same across most businesses. So researching should be similar for, it doesn't matter which size. Bear with me if I go quiet for a sec. I've just got to change the screen that we're looking at. Okay, we should be looking at my web browser. How are we doing for time? I got a little timer. I didn't start it. Oh, that's not good. 36 minutes in. Okay, cool. So first things that we want to do is we want to look at their website, and we want to start looking at, and this is, I'll just share my whole screen actually, bear with. I'll just change the settings one more time to share my whole screen. Okay, cool. So what I would do, and I just did this quickly like 5 minutes before we jumped on, is I would literally write down things like this. What are the products and services they sell? What's the brand messaging they're using? Can I identify any challenges that they're facing right now? What are some of their current campaigns, and any additional notes? So just for instance, you may have seen earlier this year, especially if you're looking at telcos or Air New Zealand, etc., you may have seen in the business news that Spark and in New Zealand were actually the most complained about businesses in New Zealand in 2020. So for me, I would go, okay, cool. Well, they've got a challenge around customer service right now and keeping customers happy. And I'd write that down as a challenge. As, okay, cool. How can I help solve some of those things for them? And how can I offer a solution to them? And the reason why I keep talking on around solutions as well is because if you're in business and your core business is to be successful at business and make money and do all those activities that we identified, if someone comes to you asking for money, you're going to have a good reason to get money from them. And if I come to you and I say, hey, listen, we're a really great organization, you know, we're part of the community, if you give back to us, you're a good corporate citizen, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people might be like, yeah, that's nice, but how does that help me? Versus if you're selling the solution and you go, hey, listen, I think I can help you with your customer service at the moment, and I've got a really good idea on how we can tackle that, which is going to help customers, you know, come back on side with your business. They're going to appreciate your business a lot more, and they're going to obviously stay with you for longer. Then someone's going to be more likely to go, yeah, I want to know how you're going to solve that or help us solve that, versus, hey, can we have some money to help us out because we're a struggling charity or whatever. And it's not trying to be mean by saying that. I'm just trying to get your focus into more of a business-minded focus. So let's type in ANZ and let's go through and do some research. Oh, looks like I have bank with them. Pretty sure this is them. anz.co.nz. And I would start on a website. And again, I would use my little list that I've just created, and I would look for those things on the website first and foremost. Now, things that I know about, because I've already worked in banking, so this is a bit easier for me. It'll also save us a bit of time. But I know a lot of the products and services they sell. So they sell mortgages. They've got lending, various lending. They've got credit cards. They've got insurance. They've got personal banking. They've got business banking. They do student banking. They normally do foreign exchange. And they normally have like investments of some sort. So invest your money with us and we'll make money for you, such as term deposits or other wealth products. And the reason why we want to start writing these down for any business is, again, we're always going to keep coming back to what we have to offer. What do we have to offer that we think could help them out with mortgages? What do we have to offer that could help them out with lending? Who are the people that buy these things? So for instance, we've got different audiences within here. We've got business banking versus personal banking. Can we target something more towards business? Can we target something more towards students? And then the more you get to know about a business, the more knowledge you're going to have, so you can position yourself better. So if you want to approach if you want to get real cut through with a business, is you want to know what earns them the most money, because that's what they're most interested in as a business. Now, from my experience, I don't need to do any research for this, but for a bank, mortgages are big money makers for them. Business banking and high net worth individuals are big money for them. And the other thing, which this is going to be a little gold nugget for most people, is credit cards actually have big budgets within banks. And the reason for that is because credit cards are typically managed by the likes of a Visa or a MasterCard or an American Express as a third-party company. And they're the ones who are actually providing the credit facilities, and they're using the banks to actually issue the cards, manage the security components of it. And obviously, to have that relationship with an ASB or an ANZ, companies like Visa or MasterCard will pay those banks massive marketing budgets to help promote those cards throughout the year. So when you see a bank promoting a credit card, it's actually paid for by Visa or paid for by American Express, but the bank manages that budget to do those marketing activities. So real inside knowledge here is, for example, at ASB, I know that their credit card budget for marketing credit cards was much higher than any other marketing budget within that whole business. So there's a little inside goss. So going back to ANZ, sorry, getting a bit distracted. So we can find this. Look, we've got personal, business, institutional, banking with ANZ, and we can find everything I've just written down anyway. The other thing which we want to look is we want to look at, okay, what else they're doing? They obviously focus on how we can help with financial well-being. So that's interesting. They're interested in well-being, they're interested in financial well-being. So I might start writing some of this stuff. They're talking around get your savings off the ground. What else do we offer that could help someone get off the ground, or could be interpreted as getting someone off the ground? They've got a knowing your score. So it looks like getting people to look, here it says, people to learn, realizing your longer term financial goals, get a score. So that could be a nice little offer. That might be something that we can send out to our database and get some data back and run a promotion with ANZ around this. So that's good. What else they're doing? They're talking about home loans. Obviously, that's front and center. And as I just talked about before, that's big business for them. So I would start writing some of this down as well. So help with financial well-being. What was that other one? Knowing your score. So I would click into that. What else do we got? So we've got do more with ANZ, personalize your, so this is another cool thing that we can look at, personalize your ANZ Visa debit card. Can we do a bespoke branded Visa card or something like that? Is that something they're interested in if they're promoting this on the front of their website? They're interested in how to make banking easier. So how can we make other things easier with the offers that we've got? So some websites are good, some websites are rubbish, but it's a good starting point for me. We do how. So see how we could help you on your journey to financial well-being. So this seems to be their big push at the moment. But the next thing I'd be doing, and so like, for instance, I guess a good example would be if I run fitness or well-being as part of my sponsorship, I may start looking, okay, as well as financial well-being in order to help reach your goals, etc., being fit and healthy and having good mental well-being accompanies that. So I may look at pairing that as a campaign and pitching that towards ANZ. The other thing which you'll find is most people, most businesses will have their social media accounts on here. That would be my next step, is I'll be clicking through and I would be looking at any of their marketing messaging that they're currently doing, what they're interested in. So now look, so here we go. Oh. So here they're talking around raising the bar in terms of quality, affordability, and design for new housing. So interested in getting or helping out with housing issue. Talking around deaf customer and how to help out with people with all needs. So in that diversity piece and being more customer centric and helping people from all backgrounds. We can see here there's a Pride logo, there is Lunar New Year. We can look at their branding messages and we can start. The reason why these are all important is because they're good to start putting down as areas or angles that you can approach the bank from. So they're pushing this know your score thing quite heavy. So that would be quite an interesting thing that I would try and position as well. This is more around Paralympics, Mother's Day. A lot around the Paralympics. Cool, so there's a lot of community stuff in there. They're interested around key dates, around diversity. They obviously celebrate the key moments. So whether or not we could pair something up around Anzac Day with them or pair something up around Mother's Day. But that's what I'm looking for. To me, it looks like they're pushing this well-being, this financial well-being piece the most. So that would be an angle they'll be trying to approach. And if all that fails and I can't figure something out, I go back to their products and services and I go back to what I know about what makes a successful business and I angle my benefits to solve those problems. Something else I find really useful typically is people's YouTube channels. Another thing which is cool to figure out with these is also looking at how active they are on these channels, how many subscribers they've got. So they don't have a heck of a lot of subscribers on YouTube, not for a big bank, but they had a lot on Facebook. So for instance, they obviously need to feed the beast. So if I can also present good content around financial well-being, so this is me just thinking off the cuff. If I'm running an event, I might go, hey man, budgeting is one of our big issues that we've got. I know that ANZ from my research is really active on social media. They're producing a lot of content. They're pushing this know your score to achieve your long-term goals. Why don't we pitch them a content piece where they look behind the scenes at our budgeting for the event. They tee us up with a like someone who's a wealth specialist or a financial advisor within their organization, and we film the whole thing and they run us through at the beginning what our score is at the start. They help us with some really easy to do tips and tricks along the way, and we do pieces to camera and show how this is a big part of our event, and they can use that on their social media content. And that might be something that I pitch as a solution to them to one help them engage with people via their social media channels, two, help them promote that What's Your Score campaign, which seems to be on everything they're doing at the moment, and three, from our point of view, it's a good opportunity to help us get some expertise while also pitching for some cash. Cool, and I've got a bunch of how-to videos and stuff in there. But anyway, I'm hoping you get the picture on research, and I will go through and I will keep writing notes down, and as much as I can find out. So like I might write down additional notes. I might write down current campaigns. They're really pushing that know your score. And so I would keep writing down all this stuff. And the sole goal is I'm trying to get inside goss, inside knowledge, understand what their values are at the moment, understand what their main goals are, so I can position what I've got to offer to solve those or assist in those. Let me go back to our main screen, just wary of time. Sorry, team. Oh, we'll go back to the start. Not where we want to be. We want to be on. Let me just find our current slide. This slide, no, this slide. Here we go. Cool. So we'll go through, we'll check the website. Oh, sorry, the other thing. Oh, are we on the right one? I think we are. Yes, share, perfect. Another thing which is quite, so I'm just going to check the chat team. How do we get in front of the right person from Simon? Okay, cool. To the regional manager, branch manager. For me, Simon, honestly, I'll show you a track. I would be getting on LinkedIn, to be honest, and I would be finding all the right people to talk to and meet with. The other thing which is quite valuable to do is so the question is, how do we get in front of the right people? One trick that I would be doing is I would be jumping on LinkedIn and I would hunt the right people there as well and just add them as friends. And I wouldn't add them with the intention of selling to them straight away. So I would typically add people on LinkedIn and under the guise of, hey, I really like what you guys are doing with that Know Your Score thing. I'm keen to follow along your strategies. I'm keen to follow along what you guys are doing. I think you guys do a fantastic job. And then what I would do is I'd slowly build that. 1 second. And going on, so what I would do is I'd slowly build that relationship by offering value if I could, or saying, hey, I noticed this could be a really good idea for you guys to help promote your Know Your Score campaign. Hey, we're not looking for anything, but I'd like to invite you to this event. I would start inviting them to things, offer them the ability to come to some of your events, get to know you. And the other thing I'd be doing is I'd potentially just ask them for some advice, being like, hey, I'd love to know what went into that Know Your Score campaign. I'd love to know more around it. So that you position yourself from curiosity versus straight selling. And I know that that may take 2 or 3 different touch points with that person, but it's a better way of getting to know the person than going in cold and saying, hey, do you want to sponsor us? Or what I would do is, if I was really pressed for time, is I would have my pitch worked out in my head and I would position it to them. And I would say, like I've just done here, I've come onto LinkedIn, I've typed in ANZ sponsorship manager. I've got 3 people already in my hit that all have sponsorship manager ANZ. They're all based in Auckland, so they're out of region. I can connect with them. And I may say to them straight away, say, hey, Louise, love what you guys are doing around diversity, love what you guys are doing around getting something off the ground. I've got a concept that I think you guys will really love that's going to help you promote that even more, or is going to help assist you in pushing that message further. And they may say, fantastic, let's catch up for a coffee. I'm keen to hear it. But notice what I'm doing is I'm not saying, hey, listen, would you be interested in sponsoring? Are you interested in giving us money? Are you interested in anything else? I'm saying, hey, listen, I've got an idea that I think you should listen to that's going to help you. And most people who are worth their salt will hear that and go, well, yes, that's ticking my box. That's a problem we've got right now, or something we're interested in right now. So yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes, I'll give you 15 minutes. Let's chat. But one of the cool things around this feature is we can go onto their profiles, and hopefully this is a good example, and we can stalk people. So we can see what Louise is liking and sharing as well. So we can get a personal insight into Louise just by clicking on Louise's activity. And we can look at what they're sharing. So if you have a why, we have the how. So I love this. This is new. We're getting new insights into brand messaging that they're promoting and stuff that she's interested in. And we can go through and we can look at all the stuff she's liking and sharing, and we can get insights into Louise and what she finds important. Let me just go back to our last screen. Share. Bear with me, just check the chat again. Cool, okay, cool. So once we've done our research and we have gone in depth, the key is, and I've given you a couple of techniques there around how to find the right people, We could go on and on around new different ways of finding people as well. I've got a bunch more. The only problem is we're running out of time. I want to make sure that everyone gets what they need out of this session. So let me just quickly go from current slide. Cool. So after you've done your research, next thing you want to do is you want to tailor. So you want to go, okay, with everything we know, I want to pitch ideas that are going to help with their current campaigns or help solve their current issues or their current problems. And so the ideal scenario is what I was talking about before when Simon asked this question is ideally you want to build a relationship with someone first. You want to do that over time, start inviting to things before and prove that you're worthwhile sharing time with before you actually ask. But obviously that's not a realistic scenario for a lot of people because you've got time pressures, etc. So for me, rather than going down a gold, silver, bronze approach and just throwing out a generic sponsorship proposal, what I like to do is I like to focus on three main ideas. So after my research, what I'll do is I'll go, okay, well, I think I can assist with this getting off the ground piece. I think I can assist with promoting that know your score and well-being. And I think I can put together some kind of offering from what we've got to offer to help assist with that, or a really cool concept with that. And maybe I've got a concept just around retaining top business clients or engaging with new businesses if we've got a lot of businesses in our database. And those may be the three ideas that I pitch them. But rather than talking around, hey, you'll be at gold package for $10,000 and you'll get 100 tickets and we'll put your logo and stuff. Instead, I'm saying, hey, listen, I really want to help that Know Your Score campaign go further. I think that we can get that in front of X amount of people in our database to help them get to know their score. And I think we can run a really cool campaign where people either get to know their score and then have the ability to book in with you. And we can incentivize that through offering some free tickets to our event and offering a bespoke package, etc. And so this is the way that I'd approach sponsorship versus just throwing benefits at them. And I would constantly use their language. So, you know, I'm constantly talking in the ways of, you know, helping you, what was their saying that they had before? How to help you get off the ground. And they were using financial well-being. And I'll be using all that language throughout my proposal. And I'll be telling them, and again, selling that solution. How am I going to help them achieve their goals? And I'll just see if I've got this example. So here's an example that I did. Well, I've done this on my website and some of the material you can get through there, but it's an example pitch deck where essentially I put together three concepts. And this here was when I was doing it for, I think, Toronto Savings Bank, I think. And it was for a harmonic orchestra, not a harmonic orchestra, a symphony orchestra. And some of their language that they were using for that bank was unexpectedly human. And so what I did is I presented a concept here around being unexpectedly human and talking around how women's suffrage, it was the anniversary of that, and how we could create a one-off piece for their customers to show that they're unexpectedly human. Then talking around Bank Smarter was another concept that I put together where they were talking around Bank Smarter, which is similar to the ANZ examples of, you know, your financial well-being and reaching your future goals. And here I'm talking around pulling together a piece of content where, you know, you could show the behind the scenes planning, logistics, highs, lows of putting together the National Orchestra Tour. Throughout the show, you could do financial planning and income sources and have work with people within the bank to show the different facets of the bank and how they can help and produce that as a content piece. So that was one of the concepts that I was pitching. And then the third one was around a VIP experience to help retain your top clients and business clients and how we would facilitate that and offer a competitive advantage to the bank that no other bank would have. That they could offer their top clients to help improve that relationship and improve the amount of money that they earn from those customers. just going back to these slides. Is it 2 minutes to go? Cool. Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate that. Okay, cool. So I'll try, what's our time? Okay, slide. Perfect. And what you're trying to do is when you're pitching these concepts to a business, is your number one goal is to try and light up their imagination. You're trying to get them to see how their brand could come to life using you as the vessel to do it. How you're getting them to see, okay, cool, we have a use for that, or yes, I could see how that could help us. And those are the types of thoughts you're trying to trigger when you're talking to sponsorship professionals or talking to brands. Because most of them are super, super busy, and you've got to assume they don't know your event, they don't know your charity, they don't know your team, and they don't know anything about you. And you've got to say, hey, listen, I think I can solve this problem for you. And they may say, actually, no, I don't like that, but you've given me another idea. And that's what you're wanting. You're wanting that conversation to grow, and you're wanting them to see that there is value in working with you and that there is benefit to working with you, which is a reason why they're prepared to part with money. And I just wrote these down as a couple of examples just to help you get thinking outside of the box of normal, I guess, benefits like tickets and logo placement, etc. So Les Mills is a good example at the moment, and this also ties into COVID and the current pandemic, etc., where people are saying, well, sponsorship's tough, etc., but also there is, and that is true amongst a lot of traditional brands at the moment. A lot of them are pulling back their sponsorship spend. However, there's also lots of industries that are booming and that are growing exponentially throughout this pandemic. Some of those are in the tech space. A lot of businesses are all just pivoting and changing their offering to stay competitive and keep earning during this time. So Les Mills is a good example where obviously they run global gyms throughout the world. And people haven't been able to get to the gym. So a lot of people are not approaching them for sponsorship because they are obviously pulling back on sponsorship. But what people don't understand is with Les Mills is they also have an online offering where they offer online workouts and classes. And of course, what they know is, or one of the ways that they earn money or they attribute towards sales is having people trial that online service. So they may give like a free 2-week trial to try their free online classes. And then after that, you would go to a paid model. Now, what they know is they know that I'm just going to make these numbers up for the sake of this example, but they may know that for every 100 people that actually trial that free service, they may know that 20% of them actually go on to pay for 6 months or more of their program. And so if we know what the cost of that program is, let's say it's $39 a month or $50 a month, whatever it is, they know that over 6 months' time, they can make X amount of money for every 100 people that they get trialing their service. Now, if you can go to Les Mills and you can say, hey, listen, we're in the health niche, or we're in the sports industry. We have a database full of people who are hungry for online exercises. They're hungry for an online program. We think that we can run a promotion to get maybe 1,000 people trialing your new service or your online classes. You can draw that into a direct value. So you can go, okay, cool. What are your conversion rates on people that trial it that are your ideal audience? They may say 20%, and you can work out, cool. So we can get 200 people signed up. What's that worth across 6 months? And you can work out a dollar value, and that might be around $30,000 to $50,000. And then you can ask yourself, okay, fantastic. What's that worth to Les Mills to pay for? Are they prepared to pay $10,000 in order to make $50,000? Are they prepared to pay $20,000 to make $50,000? And this is the importance, I guess what I'm trying to harp on about is the more knowledge you learn about a business, the more you understand about what they see value and how they make money, etc., the more equipped you are to put dollar values on things. And the more equipped you are to price out your sponsorship and what it's worth to them. So it's fair to say that as long as you're making money on an activity like that Les Mills activity, you're prepared to pay money to do it, because they've got a distribution problem. They need more people trialing their product so that more people take up the paid version of it, which then keeps their business in business during a pandemic where people can't get to the gym. Sounds like something worth paying for. And if you can solve that problem for them, I guarantee they'll probably be interested in talking to you. Another example is bank details. So along that line of how we can help people to make more money and more sales, with banks, this is something I learned at the bank, is that when you've got the correct contact details for a business, for a customer, they are worth more money to the bank than someone who doesn't have the correct contact details. And when I say contact details, I mean things like correct name, phone number, email address. And the reason why they're worth more is because when you know what services and products that they're buying from you, for instance, a mortgage, once their mortgage term comes up for renewal, a month out or 2 weeks out, you can send them messaging around refinancing. And that automatically by default starts increasing your conversion rates. Same with having their phone number. You can call them and check in on certain services and products. You can send them timely marketing materials. And so in that instance, we may know that a customer is worth $50 more to the bank who has correct contact details than someone who doesn't. Therefore, what we can do as sponsors is we can position things to help with that. So we go, hey, listen, I want to put together a campaign for you guys where we're going to try and update 1,000 customers' contact details, and we're going to incentivize that through running this promotion or doing this campaign, or at our event, we're going to run a booth where only customers can get in by showing their credit card or their debit card that's branded with your bank. And once they're in there, you guys will have the ability to update people's contact details to win some prizes. And we're going to aim to do 1,000 people. Now, if we know what our numbers are, which is what I said was about $50 more per person, if we can get 1,000 people to update their contact details, we know that that's worth $50,000 more to the bank. So of course, they're probably more prepared to pay for that if you're making them money and you can draw that connection and you can show how you're adding value and solving their problems. So those are just a couple of examples that I wanted to quickly go through. If you want more information like this, I'm just wary that we are running out of time. I have got stuff on sponsorshippantry.com. I've got a playbook on there with a bunch of templates that we've talked about today. So a proposal template, there's other trainings around more in depth on research and how to position yourself. There's also good information in there around what to do when people say no to you and how to actually turn that into an opportunity. If you want to ask me any questions post this webinar, or you want to get in touch, my email is there, hello@sponsorshippantry.com. Let me just double check, see if we've got any questions before we put things to an end. No, that's it. So what we'll do, team, is we will call that an end there to this webinar. I hope you got a ton of value from that. I know that Stephanie's going to put this up on the Selwyn District Council YouTube channel, and I think they'll go up maybe next week, so you can get access to that. But yeah, in short, I think that if you follow these steps that I've outlined throughout this webinar, you're going to be positioning yourself, and if that's your approach to sponsorship, you're going to be positioning yourself in a much better position for getting sponsorship than if you go through and you're just firing out proposals to everyone and you're offering benefits versus solutions. If you don't know what you've got to offer and you don't see value in what you've got to offer, you're going to be at a disadvantage to people that are doing it the way that I've outlined. But thank you so much for attending. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much and I made as much sense as possible. If you've got any comments or feedback, feel free to get in touch, or if you've got any more questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer them personally if you've got them. But yeah, really enjoyed doing the session with you. Thank you once again, everyone, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your week and the rest of your evening. Take it easy. Bye.